Gamefound Feast or covering the companies that are shutting down? Gamefound Feast, companies that are shutting down. Well, we're actually doing Gamefound Feast. That follow-up tariff situation, if you missed that video as well earlier in the week, we'll get some more about that a little bit later. And, you know, over the weekend, we'll probably also have a news video. Subscribe if you want to hear more. Also, Patreon. But that's not why you're here. We have like 15 Gamefound new campaigns sometime soon going to be launching. Is this feast or famine? Yow! Sorry, I just couldn't resist the CSI Miami there. Let's go. The issue with a video like this and a announcement like this as a whole is, if you're me, where do you start? Do we start just alphabetically like they did a little bit? Do we just start with the most popular, the biggest name, the biggest click, the whatever? I'm going to go with my most interesting. And we'll talk about these because there's a lot of retreads here. There's a few companies that you'll recognize. There's a few things you've never heard of. There are a few things that aren't even on Board Game Geek at the time of me filming this. So take that for what you will. I mean, arguably at this point, though, we have to start off with the biggest name because it's potentially going to get the most amount of money of any of these as well. I covered this in a news video, I think it was last month in March. I said, Facebook group is telling us more Andromeda's Edge. And here we are, Andromeda's Edge Genesis. I see you copying the best space game ever made, and because you can't think of an original name, Cardboard Alchemy of Space Genesis. I see what you did there, riding Space's coattail. Just kidding. But you're getting more stuff. You need new raiders, new regions, new I can't even get this one out. New factions. Your 15 or so factions in the base game and first campaign as a whole weren't enough. Okay, right? This is probably going to win Board Game Geek's Heavy Game of the Year award. It's a toss-up between this and SETI at this point. And this is their piece de resistance, whatever you want to say. It's coming summer of this year. And it begs the ultimate, utter question with any such expansion. Do you really need more? That is something I am asking myself on a regular basis with expansion content. And the truth is, we're all freaking hypocrites because we say, no, I don't need any. And then you go and you buy the next Dune Imperium Uprising expansion, Genesis. Just kidding. Or Dune Imperium Duel, whatever you want to call it. But you get more stuff. I just hope they don't overcomplicate it. Overcomplicate it. Sorry. With even more different mechanics. Again, the tricky part with any of this, right? This is all pure speculation because very little of any of these have any significant amount of campaign information, gameplay information, or more than just a tagline to get people to follow the Gamefound campaign at this point. And so that's why we're starting with this number one. Number two is going to surprise you. Ice Makes and Terrorscape is sort of the final girl for multiplayer version of things, I feel like. And it's getting a season 2 because we're actually going to have it very, very soonish because they've kind of given this little calendar on the page saying, well, the pre-launch, a few announcements on the next couple dates, and again, get free gift by following all of this crap. So, I mean, fair enough though, right? Following is free. And it's interesting, they have a cute little graphic there that says meow, 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 and it says it's to be translated in English at a later date. But this has been really freaking well received for people that love this sort of thing. It's a lighter Final Girl, Marvel United type vibe with a bunch of expansions, hide and seek, hunt and escape, killer and prey, Dead by Daylight vibes as well, but it's team-based asymmetric horror. So when I say those things, you kind of already know what you're getting yourself into. You get abilities, you unlock, you move, you sense, you do all of the stuff you would do in a horror movie on a tabletop side of things. So again, I would defer to you guys in the comment section down below. You guys like this one? Is this one your thing? How does this one differ from all those other ones? Again, I look at this like a dungeon crawl sort of situation. What do you do to stand yourself apart? And so we're going to see if this is just more of the same or again, notch up. Speaking of a notch up, and maybe I should have led with this one too, because I just mentioned it in the news video that will actually now be coming out after this, because I preempted it in that regard. And Isofarian Guard from Sky Kingdom Games. We're getting the Veilward expansion of the award-winning game. And the interesting thing that they say with this one is that you are getting more of a streamlined approach. More of a almost Tainted Grail, upgraded rules 2.0, Kings of Ruin situation, Etherfields 2.0, where you don't have to grindy as much, but you're getting all the new stuff. And they say this expansion, I think it was something in the comment section, like 60% the size of the base game in the first place. And if you're not familiar with this open world-esque campaign-driven 1 to 2 player, 3 printing sold out already style of game with campaign, audio, app, narrative, playmats, sleeves, foil cards, and new surprise content, well, you can get this as well. So the saga continues. You get 2 new guards and awesome responsibilities to go along with it. There is actually more content on this page than anyone else at this point, and they also have more followers than anyone else. So, and that's within 24 hours, you have nearly 5,000 followers. So it's not just me saying that this game has some hype. It's, well, people who like this game in the first place. But I would make a wonder now, if this is going to be coming out later this year, how is the price point going to be differing from the first time around as well? Because if I'm looking at this, or I'm looking at Andromeda's Edge, I would be shocked if you're not getting the price jacked up by a good 20 or 30%. Then I covered the review earlier this year, end of last year. It all blurs together on this side of things, especially when you're so small and stupid like I am. Black Rose Wars. And they're coming back with another campaign, another expansion? No. And this is going to be the divisive part, right? It reminds me more of the Everdell Complete Collection. Only this is Black Rose Wars, the revised edition. Updated spells, components, and hopefully a rule book in that way as well. So how do you feel, right? Do you feel like that is warranted? If or is there just another situation that rewards patient backers who didn't get it previously and slightly maybe adjacently penalizes those who got it in the first place? They're already labeling crowdfunding exclusive, a few brand new magic classes and stretch goals that you won't find elsewhere, and all of the stuff that was included in the first campaign with updated everything. Now, if you are one of those first people, though, don't fret too much. Don't take my tongue-in-cheek snarkiness too seriously, because they're already labeling out on the page that there's an upgrade pack for all of the original game owners. Solo mode, new balances, new School of Magic, and, well, fully compatible with everything else you've got previously. So if that is your type of thing, and hopefully, again, they include some of the upgrades that they did with the additional Rebirth expansion into this one, this might be a good time to get in, question mark, if the price doesn't get jacked up as well like the other ones we were just talking about. Sure. Then we have a return to Paperback Adventures from Veilward Games. Again, another Kickstarter transplant going over to Gamefound. Say what you want about this. Word building roguelike, 1 to 2 people. And truth be told, it was the 1 to 2 person player count that kind of made me not want to be getting it in my collection, as much as I love the idea of the asymmetric ability upgrading word-like roguelike situation. And this was another one of those games where it got a huge amount of hype after a couple reviews went out and people loved it. But it's also one of those that I've never seen casually in person in my very select, very biased group situation. But also, I haven't really seen it show up anywhere. Not on the secondary market, not on the best of lists, not anywhere across that spanning situation, which is just kind of puzzling to me. And it got over $300,000 in the first campaign. And now you're coming back with a second edition, which arguably, again, as a lot of these are, giving us better versions of the things that you already potentially love. You're getting a new martial arts character, and this is how I feel mixed about it already. The ability to play with 4-player co-op. Okay. I am not sure how I feel about cooperatively in this type of game that is mainly designed for 1 to 2, because it could be exactly like I said I was looking for, or it could be shoehorned in to make it fit so that you can actually do that. And I'm not sure. And what do you do if you're not sure? Well, you pass on it. But don't worry, they'll give you a new box storage, at least at the time of me filming this. So, I mean, check it out, question mark. But don't get me wrong, right? It's got 7.6 overall on Board Game Geek, and it's in the top 3,000 for only having 700 ratings. So it's not just me shouting it from the rooftops, at least. Then, the most intriguing as one I'd never heard of from a publisher you have heard of, Dragori, is bringing us something new, which I'm a little bit trepidatious about because all the other stuff that I mentioned at the beginning of the video with companies kind of having to balance things very carefully now, we're getting in October one that's now shot up in my list, and I'll be shooting them an email after this, Ronin's Revenge. They say Souls-like, if you're familiar with the Dark Souls style of things, intensity in a board game. No luck, no dice, pure skill. It's appearing to be non-linear boss battling, at least from the description right now. And so does that sound good to you? Because the page flat out says, forget the dense rule books. Tactical decisions, not countless exceptions. Your boy has a significant interest in this now. I was going to say something slightly inappropriate there and I decided not to because this is a family-friendly channel. 70 hours of gameplay, boss design, storytelling, item descriptions, NPC interactions that are fleeting. So, again, how can you do all of those things without all the rules? Which makes me really intrigued. And if you're not familiar, again, with Souls-like, it's a genre game where every fight tests your skill, every defeat and time you die makes you learn, and then victory, as they say, is earned and not given. And they're going heavy into this, folks, because they say straight up, too, that you're gathering souls to level up. That's the whole main mechanic of this. Everything is going to react to you, it's going to adapt to your strategies, and it's going to be fresh, tense, and interesting regardless, without somehow a grindiness and super, super quick setup. So basically, all of the magic keywords that you would hope optimized together if you were making a genie's wish, and we'll see what they can do, because you know they can put out the miniatures. And next up, a game that I haven't really probably given as much attention that I probably should have, as I own 3 of the 4 main sets of it, and that's Dale of Merchants from my friends over at Snowdale Design. They're coming out with a 10th anniversary edition. Again, a little bit like the Black Rose War situation, though. Someone who owns 1, 2, and 3, but then we got the collection big box, which has a little bit of extra gameplay content, while this competitive deck builder with variety of how you're building your 7 stalls is coming back to us with a new solo mode. Yeah, it's really a fun, different aspect of deck building as a whole, and you're getting more animal folk to go along with this one. The existing decks, though, have been upgraded and reworked so that it's going to be feeling good to play. So you probably don't need it, but it's still going to make you kind of have that little twinge of whether or not your edition isn't good enough anymore, because that's kind of how my mind works. But man, I'm going to give it a look-see heavily because I do love that game. Then Flanix Games is giving us Hood, an asymmetric Robin Hood with some unique art styling. And it's going in a root sort of situation. Rebellion, power, unholy ambition. You either get to be the outlaws in Robin Hood, the ruthless sheriff, the corrupt bishop, or the scheming French nobles with a unique playstyle, asymmetric abilities, and different path to victory, because some want to rob the rich, some want to rob the poor, some want to build vanity monuments, and others just want a corruption everywhere like our local governments. You want to know anything else? Too bad, nothing else out there. Fan-specific upgrades, though. With faction-specific upgrades, Trouble in Sherwood is going to give you some brutally clever decision-making, as the page says. So that one is going to be your sleeper hit right now so far. Similarly, sleeper hits, SHEOL, SHEOL, is coming back from Lunar Oak Studio. This was a big thing when it kind of barely eked across the line within like the last 24 hours of its previous first time around crowdfunding campaign, and then ran in a few snags over the COVID situation with the production and the shipping. But as they say, vassals rule. If it's good, it'll come back. So Midnight Odyssey is what they've got coming on right now with this. And, well, it's what launched them originally, and there's not a whole lot of information on this dark side of the moon style, revealing your enemies when you can, unknown until you do, crawl. Straight up, 2.0, reworked, extensively revised, brand new content. and will be the definitive edition, just like Machina Arcana was the 2.0 definitive edition until the 3.0 edition came out and was definitive. Don't worry again, you can upgrade and you can get in on this, but this was a huge price point that people said, is it worth it from a new company, a new designer, a new everything in that regard? Because they had another campaign, I think Candelabria. So I have no clue with this. I have absolutely no idea. I remember people getting it and selling it. I just don't know how good it actually was mechanically, because it's one of those beast of a games at this point that is just massively overwhelming. And if you've got one of them, you've got too much already, but also at the same time, you also clearly don't have enough to scratch your itch. So you've got 4 of them as well that you never get through. I'm looking at you, Aeon Trespass Odyssey. I'm trying. So that's one of the situations we're going to be dealing with this one. And that seems to be the theme of a lot of these. Then Dawn of Madness, the complete collection. Speaking of Everdell complete collection earlier, Dimension Games is giving us everything from Dawn of Madness again. So do you like the dark horror experience with a dungeon crawl with psychological horror narratives and a chilling survival game? It's one of those that if you like it, you like it, but it's offering a ton of content. And I mistakenly told you that a lot of the other campaigns don't have anything on their pages, but this one has literally the whole page designed right now, and graphics and everything that you could ever imagine. What's in the core box, what's in the Otherworld miniature box, the of Art and Oblivion expansion. I can scroll the whole time I'm talking, and I still have not hit the bottom of the page, because there are literally graphics for every single card that you might ever want in this game individually, of the 6,000 cards that are intriguing there. I'm just kidding, but there is graphic overload here in that sense. They do give a little bit of information about what makes it unique, and you're getting all of the horror stuff and mirrors that are meant to haunt you, with a lore spanning over 750,000 words of narrative. Ooh, you know I've covered that elsewhere. Is this your crawl? Well, you can get more of it, or you can also just get all of it if you want to in the first place. I would try and pronounce the next one from Board and Dice, but I can't. I can't do it in a heavy Euro-style gameplay strategy, so you can just read it overhead and below me and all of those other portions of things. But this is actually, we'll call it Triss. Triss is coming back in May, the campaign says, and I think this is a relatively successful game as a streamlined, heavy Tashini Board and Dice collaboration, but they're offering a little smattering of the original game to go with a new edition campaign, and, well, did you want to roll and write? 2 years too late past the trend? You can get one here. I'm a little surprised they aren't giving us the dual version, but he said tongue in cheek. So that's what you're going to be seeing with this one. But again, this page has absolutely zero information on, apart from new artwork and somehow streamlined user-friendly graphic design. I mean, I like those terms together, but why would I buy a whole new game for very friendly graphic design? Intuitive without losing its heavy, sink you to the bottom of the sea like lead blocks strategy. Sniper Elite, though, is also coming back at the opposite end of the mechanical spectrum. I just got my copy of Sniper Elite in the mail earlier this week, and it's giving you a reprint, the previous expansions, I believe, as well as a new one here, which offers more maps, more vehicles, and a host new of challenges when you go one versus all, the sniper versus the non-snipers. I'm blanking on their names, but it's basically sniper gets enough wounds, or they take out the enemies or achieve their objective. This one is called Operation Kraken, and it's really an infiltrate, hidden movement style-esque game, and people love it. You can deluxe upgrade kit it if you want, like the first campaign offered, but it's also one of those as a one versus other people that if this isn't your mechanic, no matter how good a game is proclaimed, it's probably not going to change your mind on that mechanic unless it is the absolute and utter exception. So I guess that begs the question, is this the exception for you, thematically as well as mechanically? Do you not have enough Tibaru? Yeah, you can get more Tibaru with Return to Vampire Masquerade with the Palermo Conspiracies. Okay. Yep, Tibaru is still around, it's still kicking, and it's expensive. It's video game on a tabletop and trying to do electronic app navigation, if you will. So what is this there? Probably, I think, 4th one? Do you want a narrative-driven app game with an electronic roll of miniatures standing on a electronic device. I know that a lot of people love it and want to spend $400 to $500 on the system to be able to play one game on it that you're probably not going to ever use for other games in the collection. But I see the appeal. I see the idea behind it. And I just go, I kind of disconnect because I feel like a lot of people get into the tabletop side of things to get away from the electronic aspect of things. And that's not to say that everyone is like that, but at least it gives me vibes of this when these things come up. So I think that's probably me just being an idiot in the minority. So you can tell me how much of an idiot I am in the comment section. Speaking of idiocy though, sorry, it's actually Badassery. It's Borderlands. They're coming back with 2 Mr. Torg's Arena of Badassery. So raid bosses, carnage stopping in a Mad Max Fury Road style of things, and based off of the previous video game IP, but you're getting a standalone expansion called the Invincible Arena here. Another one of those games that got miniature-driven IP success in the hundreds of thousands of dollars the first time it came around. So, as I say with the Zombicides, you can't really get milk from a Zombicides, but that doesn't stop us from trying to milk it to death regardless. Just teasing. I have to be a little snarky, otherwise this gets a little bit, difficult late at night. Anyway, one-off battles, series of deadly campaigns over time, leveling up between them. I mean, it's free-for-all. It's, that style of video game port over to the tabletop. Pros, I haven't really heard anything negative about it. Cons, really haven't heard anything about it in general. So, I have no idea, right? It's going to be lighter. It's going to be more straightforward. What is the mechanical difference? And I hope that some of these pages really try and highlight, again, why would I get this? What makes it stand out differently mechanically apart from another 30 to 40 page rulebook? But there are, at the time of me filming this, 4 expansions and a collector's box already on this. So that's a lot. And that's not including the expansions from the previous campaign, which is like another 2 or so plus stretch goals. Whoo, dog, this better be one of your favorite IPs of all time. Take that for what you will. Well, there are a few others here. Puppet Master returned to Bodega Bay in Miniatures board game. That is a mouthful from Dynamite Entertainment. I'm assuming this must have some IP it's based off of, because I don't have a clue, right? I'm, as self-proclaimed all the time, not a horror fan, so I would assume horror genre, this has some background already in the first place. And this is from the creators of the previous campaign, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the game. So Dynamite Entertainment, I guess, show me what you got. Similarly, Meeple Pug is giving us a game called Mesopotamia. I can pronounce that. The Cradle of Civilization awaits. It's a Civ game, folks. 90 minutes, 1 to 4 people. It's got big chunky miniatures, and plastic, and story-driven mechanics with deep thematic, event-driven modularity, replayability, deluxe components, and probably a shipping cost with tariffs way too much in that regard. But it begs the question for me too, as well, as a non-Civ person. Well, what makes this one stand out civilization-wise? And we'll see when it gets closer to launch. Planix also has a pre-order, Punica, Rome versus Carthage, and then they also have another campaign preview on there, which is really kind of weird that we have 3-ish campaigns on here from one company, but I guess take that for what you will. Then at the end here, we have 2 non-board game things that I'm just going to say a quick word about. Neuroshima Hex is getting a PC version, and tabletop role-playing is coming in the form of the Dark Carnival. I don't have a freaking clue. So that's it. Gamefound Feast, right? Famine. Okay, post, what am I excited about? How do I feel about things after descriptions, looking at stuff, and where do things stand? Truth be told, the most intriguing of the new ones is probably Ronin's Revenge from Dragori, as a wanting to ever play a Souls situation, not having had the chance to do so. Love the idea behind that. I think Hood looks really interesting, again, as a potentially, if they can actually pull it off, streamlined route in a different setting. I think that's going to be interesting. And I spoke of my love for Dale of Merchants in the first place, so that's there. Andromeda's Edge, I think, is overarchingly going to be the biggest potential non-Isofarian Guard winner, because I would make the argument, though, that of all of these, Isofarian Guard is going to get the most hype, acclaim, and even potentially dollars and cents. So there you go. How do you feel? Feast Or was it a little bit of a famine for you because you go, Chris, I am not interested in any of those. Chris, none of those sound good. Chris, I don't like any of those whatsoever. Chris, you're an idiot. Okay, that's also somehow under the famine category. I don't know. I don't got anything else. So peace out, Patreon. Watch some other stuff. Have a great freaking day. Thanks for everything. See you later.